What's going on? This is Charlie from Xclusive Autoworks, and today I'm gonna show you how to PPF a door. Specifically, I'm doing a satin wrap on this entire Corolla GR, so I'm gonna be showing you the matte wrap on this front passenger door. I am gonna be using a pre-cut, so there is only one cutout actually, and that's for the mirror stalk. So I am gonna show you how I install that, and everything else is gonna be bulk cut. So here and here in this whole area. So first I'm gonna start off by squeegeeing. So I just have a large window squeegee, and I'm using my compressed tank full of slip, which is just Johnson's baby soap, which is what we like to use here, and filtered water. And I'm just gonna gently squeegee this water off. And I'm doing this because any surface dirt that is on this panel, like little hairs or even like specks of dust, that's all gonna be carried with the water and off the panel. So when I install the wrap, there hopefully shouldn't be any contamination underneath. And one thing I would like to mention is that with a lot of the cars that have this kind of window trim here, you don't want to go too heavy with the slip there. I like to leave about an inch and a half down from there, kind of dry. So I'm trying to spray from here down. And that's so I don't soak underneath there, because sometimes if you soak it, if there is any residual dirt under there after a wash, that's hard to get to. It'll just come pouring out, and it'll keep coming out as long as the panel is wet. So I'm just gonna finish squeezing that second time. Now I'm gonna go get the piece of PPF and I'll slap it on here. All right, so right now I have the PPF. I didn't weed it yet. Weeding is when you're taking off the excess material from the cutout. But first I'm just gonna squeegee this. So same process as the door panel. I'm just gonna spray it. There's a loose dog in here. I'm gonna spray it and squeegee this. So same thing, if there's any dirt, it's gonna be gone. And now I'm just gonna weed this panel. There we go. So now all I have left is the door piece of PPF on here. So I also like to spray the underside of the backing paper to kind of make it stick to the table for when I need to peel it. I'm just gonna shift it over here a little bit. All right, so that is good. So now I'm just gonna take a corner of the pre-cut, spray it, and I'm just gonna peel and spray as I go. And you can see how this kind of suctioned to the table. That's exactly what you want if you're doing it this way. It makes it easier to peel with one person. A little piece here. All right, so now this is good. I'm gonna carefully bring it here without letting it touch anything. And I'm gonna spray the door down. Same thing, I'm leaving that 1.5 inch gap from the top so I don't get any dripping dirt. Okay. Now I can throw this on. So I'm gonna loosely place this corner here. It's not really gonna hold, just to get it onto the panel. And I'm starting at this mirror spot. So here with this pre-cut, there is just a hole cut out here. I'm just gonna kind of massage the film into place. All right, make sure this doesn't sag too much because we don't want that to fall. And I am gonna keep an eye on this whole edge just to make sure there's no dirt dripping, even though we didn't really soak it. And I'll lightly squeegee that just to keep it in place. All right, so I am starting with this corner right here first. Let me get this lined up. So I have that pretty lined up. Squeegee this corner. And I'm just gonna make sure it's tacked down using hot filtered water, which is in this sprayer. That's my tack. That's good. Make sure. There's a little bit of dirt. So I'm just gonna scrape that off. There we go. And we have to remember the goal is to get, well, the goal is to get no dirt, but it is also very hard sometimes. So as long as you can minimize it as best as you can. All right. So now I'm gonna come back to this corner and actually line it up. I'm gonna lift this up almost all the way to reslip it to make sure it's not dry. All right, got that lined up. So I'll do the initial squeegee and then go back a little bit of tack to make sure that's fully down. And now I'm gonna work on this whole top edge. So I'm just gonna go left to right, or sometimes I go from the middle and kind of work outwards to make sure it's lined up. And because this is a pre-cut, I do have to line it up. I can't, you know, overextend it and trim it afterwards. But I think we're pretty good here. And now I'm just sealing this top edge to make sure that no more dirt comes flooding in. And on this pre-cut, when it comes to this these little tabs that kind of end up over here from the cut, you kind of have to finger squeegee them because you can't really fit a squeegee back here. So I'm just gonna line it up. All right, got that lined up. I'm gonna use the squeegee as much as I can. To get that area good. All right, so that's pretty good. I'm just gonna let that dry out and I'll come back to that. It'll make it a little easier to lay that. All right, now I'm just gonna lift from the bottom because you can see everything up to this body line is squeegeed. So I can lift the PPF up to that point. All right, and now I'm gonna go to the bottom two corners. I'm gonna go to this one first. And while doing this corner, I do have to be conscious of this edge. I wanna make sure that it's lined up too, because on this pre-cut, it goes right up to the edge and about 1/16 of an inch over. So not much room to work with, so it does have to be pretty perfect. So we're looking good here. Good. And then I'm going to come to this corner and I'll line this corner up. Good. Get this air out using my hands. And I do want to make sure, so if there is any slack in an area very close to something, you know, detailed like this cutout, you want to get that just as far away from there. It'll make a nightmare to squeegee later on. So to do that, I'm just gonna make sure this is slipped. I can kind of pull down a little bit and work the slack down here where it's much easier to work with. I'll actually use a little bit of tack here to make sure that it stays that way. sealed to the edge. All right, so now I'm ready to squeegee the entire panel because this is all looking good. But sometimes you'll get this is called like a finger. A lot of the times you don't know what you're doing. You can kind of mess up your wrap if you squeegee it the wrong way. So when you do have something like this, what I like to do is I will lift up a large portion of it, that much. And all you want to do is spread out that slack of material that was right here and spread it out in a larger area. So what I like to do is, again, I'll lift that up. I'll take a large squeegee and gently kind of chisel it like this. And you'll pretty much end up making a bunch of smaller fingers. And by doing that, it spreads it out instead of it all being condensed in one small area. So now went from 1 to 3 little fingers here. Attack that area. And now instead of chiseling, I'm gonna go back to the regular squeegee direction, like this, and squeegee that out. And now the finger is gone. Okay, onto the door handle area / door cup. What I like to do is I'll put a slit in both of the kind of ends where the door handle would go in, like that. You don't want to go too close to the edge because we are going to be lifting into the film a little bit from here, and if you go too close, you might end up tearing it too deep. So first, I'm going to seal kind of this bottom edge because a lot of the times water will seep down into the panel when you're shooting water in like this. And if you've sealed everything like we did, you don't want a big puddle of water just in the middle of the door. So I'm just going over like this, making sure the bottom is sealed. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. I think we're good. So now I'm just gonna shoot a little more tack into here, the door cup, by gently lifting. All right, you can give this a little pat to make sure it's all tacked. I'm using a medium to small squeegee, and I'm just gonna go down the middle like this initially, about halfway. See how that sticks? It did stick, so that's a good sign. Now I'm gonna take my pointer finger on my left hand, make sure that there's a gap for the water and air to come out on this side. I'm gonna cut this spot in half by pushing down, squeegeeing. There we go. Get that half done. Now I'm just gonna do the same thing on this side. So lift it up. There we go. All right, now I can just tack the edges over here fairly easily. I'm just gonna go ahead and use my finger for that. Like that. Go to this side. Same thing. A little squeegee. There's actually a little dirt here, which is easy to get to. Hopefully you can see that. So same process. I'm just gonna try to lift up to it, get that out. All right, and now I can seal this edge. Whoops, slipped a little bit. right here. All right, and now that that's sealed, I can go to trimming it out. So I'm gonna take my knife and I am gonna outline this hole, and I like to leave about 1/8 of an inch around from the edge. Double check that that cut. And this cut doesn't have to be perfect because it is going to be hidden by a gasket. You do just want to make sure that you don't go too short. So if I was to cut it like maybe over here, you might end up seeing edge from the gasket. But for the most part, everything in this kind of recessed area is going to be covered. So that's just what you need to do when cutting out areas like this. So same thing over here. Right. And I'm just going to go over it one more time with tack to make sure that this is all sealed. So that is the process of installing a pre-cut on a door. I hope you enjoyed and I hope you found this video informative. If you did like the video, please give us a like. And with that said, I'll catch you guys in the next video.